Hello everyone, hope you're well. It's been an uncharacteristically sunny day in February in the UK. It does happen. Long may it continue. It won't, but I just thought it was nice to say. But you never know. But I hope everyone's well and you're having a great weekend. So I wanted to continue the character focus series that I've been doing recently. With the last main character, there's a kind of like a half video coming up where I look at an entire race of people who I've introduced in book 2, the Dune. And I do so by also looking at their encampment, which features heavily in part of the story. But for now, this gentleman is the last of the main characters that I would like to focus on for book 2, the Darkling and the King. And that is Vekel Tugaul. Now I will start by saying Vekel is how I pronounce it. You pronounce it however you want. I've heard Vekel, Vekel, anything. It really doesn't matter. It's absolutely fine. But Vekel, as I pronounce him, is advisor, brother, warrior, as it says. And he is Drobar's brother. So Drobar, check back on one of my previous episodes about him. He is the king of the barbarians, and Vekel is his obviously his biological brother, his literal brother, to an extent a brother in arms, I suppose. I think in such a situation where you have a warrior caste, you can't help but have that kind of form that bond with other people who you fight alongside. And Vekel and Drobar are no different. Having said that, theirs is a relationship that is pockmarked by mistrust, loathing on Vekel's part of his brother, disdain of the way he has run things since their father's death. There is an incredible amount of animosity and bad blood between them, even though Vekel serves him as king. He very much is someone who embraces tradition, who embraces the ideals of the barbarians. He wants to live the life of a warrior, live the life of somebody who believes in the hunt, in the kill, in the glory of battle, in the glory of war and conquest. And he believes his people are destined to do that. They're destined for great things. Then, of course, the peace treaty came along from the capital, offered to the Dune and the barbarians, make peace and you can have a seat on the Council of Elders. Great, everyone thought. Well, nearly everyone. For Vekel, this represents a fundamental end to a way of life that he holds sacred. There was already a huge disruption for him and his brother Drobar when they lost their father, King Ulfric, at the Battle of the Blood Moon. And I'll probably come on to a little bit more of that in my Dune video. But essentially, they've never quite recovered from that, and you know why would you? It was a tragedy. Vekel has some very fixed thoughts about who was responsible for it. Pretty sure you can probably guess. And it informs his every move. It informs his every day, the way he interacts with Drobar. He's his military advisor, his chief military advisor, and they are of the same clan. So that loyalty and that sense of belonging, ties of blood, is what keeps Vekel towing the line to an extent. But he wastes no time at all in using every opportunity to kind of single his brother out and point out his flaws, tell him when he disagrees with him, tell him when he feels that he's straying from a righteous path which he believes his people should be walking. And I think that's crucial, and that was crucial when I created this character, was to create someone who places honour above everything else, or at least appears to. I wanted to create a character who is fiercely passionate about protecting the sanctity of his people, not wanting that to be changed, not wanting it to be infected, for want of a better word, by others, by outsiders. I didn't want to stray too much into kind of purity morals and ideologies, because we know where that tends to lead. So I've kind of kept away from that one. But fundamentally, this is about him wanting to preserve the barbarian's way of life as long as he can until his dying breath. And he sees very much other people around him wanting to sign peace treaties, wanting to make peace with an implacable foe like the Dune. And he can't believe it. He just feels that his world is crumbling around him, that there's nothing he can do about it. And he has a temperament to match. Extremely moody, extremely brisk with everybody, short with everybody, doesn't take any prisoners, literally, and kind of figuratively. And poor Fen and Hesse have the unfortunate pleasure of being imprisoned and interrogated by Vekel initially, who wants to know who they are and what they're doing on their land. For Vekel, he very much knows of the Darklings. He knows of their history. Surprised to see one walking around in broad daylight, as most people are. That's not really their style, for reasons I've already covered. Surprised to see the strange red little girl with horns from the sort of pits of a volcano, if you will. And sees their untimely appearance as a bad omen more than anything else. I wouldn't say I wrote him to be particularly overly spiritual or fearful of kind of higher powers, but he is God-fearing as much as anyone, i.e. soul. He believes in soul. He believes the barbarian people have a given path. He doesn't want to stray from that. And he sees other people like Svala Frey, pushing for peace. He sees Drobar prevaricating over what to do about the peace treaty. And he's incredibly angry, incredibly frustrated, probably incredibly scared that a way of life is starting to come to an end, and perhaps a bit helpless. So he very much lashes out. He very much takes his anger out on other things. It can be misdirected rage, or it can be a little bit more calculating than perhaps people might realise. And we obviously explore that as the book goes on. So I really very much enjoyed writing Vekel. Really nice to get my teeth stuck into someone who's so fiercely passionate. Whether you agree with them or not, he's undeniable and he's difficult to ignore. And he makes certain that everybody around him knows that, So yeah, it's very much about his relationship with his brother, from when they were very, very young to losing their father and to what has happened since. Very much his view of Drobar as a weak leader, and very much about his dealings with Svala and the others. His lack of patience with Keela, the administrator, the tiny, strange little creature with black eyes who always running around carrying rolls of parchment and trying to get people to agree to things that they don't want to agree to, whilst scarcely appreciating that that's the role of a diplomat. Compromise. He is the antithesis of that, very uncompromising, straight down the line, very black and white. He will either agree to something or he won't. So it was actually quite refreshing to write a character like that. People, the temptation is to delve into a character and to give them all sorts of angles and facets and different ways to explore their emotional states and their motivations. Why have they acted a certain way? Why have they behaved in a certain way? How are they going to react to this? Vekel is just angry. He's angry. He's irritated. He's impatient. He believes the barbarians are a warrior race and that they should stay like that, and that the peace treaty will dilute that. And he's not prepared to compromise. And that was nice, because he's a good foil at representing the other extreme, whereas perhaps you have someone like Svala, who is all in on the peace treaty, blind to anyone's criticisms of it, sees very much the treaty as a path to the Amiron and to a sense of enlightenment personally and for her people. You have Drobar in the middle, trying to please everybody and end up pleasing nobody. And you have Vekel at the other end saying, no treaty, never-ending war, that's what we're good at, that's what we've always been good at, that's what we're destined to do, end of. So between the three of them, it was a nice kind of balancing act to actually write and explore a few angles of. So yeah, I hope you enjoy reading about him, reading the character as much as I did writing it. So the other things I wanted to use the video for was to just also update you on book 2 itself, The Darkling and the King. The first and foremost, I've been prevaricating myself over launch dates, not least because these things happen sometimes. Editors and other professionals that you rely on to help you going down the self-publishing route as I do, just can't fit you in. They're extremely busy, and I'm not surprised. They're very, very talented people. So I tentatively had to push the book back to around August. That's not now the case. The book has been brought back forward to, I'm going to say May rather than the 1st of May. I don't want to, I've kind of been burnt by that already. So we'll say May, and yes, May 2026, not a different year. So that's what I'm trying to get done. We should start to have some cover designs out, hopefully kind of early April, late March, hopefully. And I'll certainly be doing a video on them, but I'll also perhaps put a little bit of a vote out there for everybody to kind of vote which one you actually prefer. I might try and get a few variations, see what people like, and as any good leader of something does, I'll listen to everybody's opinions and then I'll make my own mind up. Apart from that, the copy edit for book 2 should be kind of done around mid to end of April, and then it's a massive rush, hugely compressed amount of time. And the reason for that, I think, is I need to start thinking more about the promotional stuff. Book 1 did well, relatively well. You know, as I've explained before, it was never about the money. It was about proving to myself that I could do it, and I did. And actually just garnering a very small but loyal following would be more than enough for me. I'd be absolutely delighted with that. So that's first and foremost the priority for the next few months. So as we get into March, I'll be covering off some additional topics around some of the locations in book 2. The Dune and their encampment, as I mentioned earlier, and also a very interesting place called the Moor, which I will cover off in an upcoming video. Once they're done, we'll have our cover designs ready, and I'm going to be taking a bit of time off work. What a shame. To focus on a semi-rewrite of book 3. And the reason I'm rewriting book 3, it's not as dramatic as it sounds. Book 3 is done. But when I actually got book 1 into a place where it was publish ready, I kind of realised that once that's out, that's it. I've painted myself into a certain corner, and all the subsequent books that follow have to honour that book 1. So there may be some small elements to book 3 that need to be tweaked. There may be a few things that I want to introduce into book 3, which I didn't originally have when I first wrote it. Most pointedly, things like the background story of Fen when he was a child, when he's growing up. There'll be another 3 or 4 chapters covering that off, which lead up to his departure from Umber, from the other, fleeing his father, Xenon. So that's what I want to kind of insert into book 3, and I want to start doing that once book 2's gone off to the copy editor. It gets to a point where it kind of falls out of my head, and something else has to come in to take over. So book 3 is next, and I won't go into any more detail about the book title or anything like that, but I'm really looking forward to that one. I absolutely loved writing book 3. Really felt pivotal to me, to the 5-book series, even though it's only halfway through. And I'm really looking forward to doing that and boxing that off over the summer. And then, fingers crossed, if all the stars align, we can get book 3 out by Christmas. So it's all guns blazing at the moment. Extremely busy, extremely focused, really enjoying it. So yeah, there's my update. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. My February newsletter has just gone out. Please do sign up to the newsletter. It's a great way to kind of, if you don't necessarily have time to watch this content, it's a great way to just keep up to date. So please just go to duncanwritesfiction.com. You'll see a newsletter button. Just scroll down ever so slightly, pop your email address in, click the subscribe button, and you're done. And it's just a slightly more digestible way of getting the latest news, which I've obviously just covered now. And so that's it. In the meantime, I'll leave you to it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon.